Hey, it's Neil Curtis here from neilcurtis.me. Today we're going to use Inkscape to create the Turbo Bike Trainer logo. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up a PNG of the logo so we've got something to use as a reference. I'll just shrink that down a bit. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to draw a square, which is kind of the same dimensions. I'm not going to draw it perfect, so I'm not going to measure, but it's kind of the same dimensions. And then I'm going to color it green, and I'm going to use the color selector just so we get the right color. I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to change the opacity to 100% because it's 8% to start with. And now I need to cut that curved top section and bottom section, so I'm going to draw this circular area to use as a cutter, and then I'm going to make sure it's aligned right in a minute by using the alignment options in Inkscape. So just go down to alignment, and I'm going to align it vertically. So now I know that's centrally aligned now, that cutter. But I'm still selected, I'm going to go through and create a division. And that creates two sections now. We've got a top and a bottom section that we need to color. So the top section is a lighter green, so I'll select that. And again, using the color selector, make that a lighter green. Okay, I've selected the bottom darker green area, and I'm just going to create some darker and lighter shading on this area like the logo below. So I'm going to use the Radial Blend option. I'm just going to, I want it to be equal blend. I'm going to just double click on the center of this and drag the green to make it a little bit darker, and you'll see that gets darker in the image. And again, it's just rough estimates, it's nothing too accurate here. Okay, so I'm just going to make that a little bit darker. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate that. I'm going to change its opacity to 80% and then duplicate it just to make it a bit darker. And then I'm also going to duplicate it again and then flip it so we've got it on the other side. Duplicate it so we've got a dark area. Now I just want to make the central area a bit lighter, and I'm going to create sort of like a narrow area of light. So double click the center again and drag it to make it lighter. I'll just drag this top arm down a bit, and now you'll see we've got sort of a central lighter area on that, and that's good enough for me. Now we just need to do the letters. So TBT for Turbo Bike Trainer. Just going to change the height of these. Just drag it over just to get a rough same size, just a little bit larger. Okay, and that'll do. So let's drag it up, and I'm not going to align this perfectly, but just going by eye get the central. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to change the color to white, and I'm going to give it a darker outside. So hold down Shift and left mouse button to get the outline color. That'll do for now. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that top section of green. I'm going to use that as a cutter, and I'm going to divide my letters up so we've got top and bottom sections of these letters. And now I'm going to start modifying the T's so we've got the same as the logo below. So I just need to stretch the left hand side, then do a curve at the end. So I'm just going to create some more nodes on the outside of this T, and then drag that one down a bit, and drag the top one down a bit. So you don't want the very top of this letter T to move, we want the midsection to. I'm just going to align those nodes to the same height. Now I'm just going to drag that node out across towards the B. Okay, and now I'm going to select all of these nodes and align them because we want them at the same height. Just going to do the same with the bottom. I'm just going to drag that bottom node that we created out, and then select these nodes and align them the same. And I'll just drag that down, those two nodes down a bit as a group. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm just going to modify these so the distance between the edge of this T is similar to the gap in the B that we can see in the left. I'm just going to drag out this arm just to create a curve, and that looks pretty good to me. maybe the gap's a little bit too big, so just going to select the top and bottom nodes and just make that gap a little bit smaller, just so we've got the same distance between all sections. And the other T is quite easy. We just select the two far nodes and drag them across. So we have the shape of the letters the same as the original logo. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the bottom sections and give them a color, a dark gray. So I want this gray to be similar to the darkest area on the gray of the original logo. I'm going to create a very light gray, almost white outline to these. And now I'm just going to select all the sections and I'm going to give them a gradient blend. By default it's transparent, but if I double click the transparent end of this gradient and using the color selector, I'm going to select the color of this stroke around the outside, just so I've got dark gray to the lighter almost white color, and I'll do this to all of them. That just means when it blends it from dark gray up to the light gray, when it reaches the perimeter of the bottom section, it sort of blends into it. So now we just need to twist these nodes around so we've got the gradient going in the right direction. I'll just do the same, and again I'm not doing it hugely accurate, but kind of in the right positions, and it creates a nice result that we want. Let's finish off the final T. And you can see the upper T, the upper section of the letters is overlapping the lower section, so we'll just click these buttons just to make sure the lower section of the letters is above the upper sections. But you can still see a tiny faint line of the upper sections of these letters, so you can just select the nodes and make sure we drag them down below the level of the lower letters, just so they're hidden. So we've got a nice clear line of the bottom section of the letters. Okay, now with that done, the logo is almost finished. It's a pretty simple and quick to do logo. I'm just going to have a look at the outline color of this top section because it's maybe not quite dark enough. Just push the wrong button there. So it's Shift and left mouse to do the outline color. And I'm happy with that. So sort of a darkish grey color. So I'm going to select the top and bottom section. I'm going to do a duplicate and change the opacity to 100% and change it black. This is going to be our shadow, so I'm going to group those together. So we've got a solid black square, and I'm going to push that to the back, to the bottom of the pile, and then while it's still selected, I'm just going to right arrow on the keyboard twice and down twice. Then I'm going to blur it by 2%, change the opacity to 80. And then we've got a nice drop shadow behind, and we're finished. So I'm just going to select all elements, I'm going to group them together as one, and then I'm just going to export this as a bitmap. I'm going to give it quite high resolution, and I'm going to call it Inkscape TBT for Turbo Bike Trainer logo, and I'm going to make it a PNG, hit export, and that's it done. We've now got a PNG logo of the Turbo Bike Trainer. So I'll open the website just so we can have a look and compare our finished result with the original logo on Turbo Bike Trainer. And there we go. It's pretty similar. And it's very, very high resolution because it's a vector image, so you can scale it up, scale it down. It's always going to have a sharp edge. Get more information at neilcurtis.me, where I show you how to create websites from the very start to the very finish.